So tell me about those 4 deals that you got rolling.
I guess this one deal, lady passed away. She got married to this guy. He has 50%. And I started looking at the paperwork. I just want to see who are the heirs. And I'm like, dude, why haven't they done anything if they open probate? Usually they do something. The properties are super tax delinquent. Can't make any connection with them. Kept popping up because it was like delinquent. I checked back in. Oh, new number popped up. I call him up. He answers. He's like, who's this? So it turns out the guy was homeless for like the last couple years. He just found out that he had inherited something for the 2 properties combined. It's like a total of $80,000. I followed up with the guy. I think I offered him like $1,200 or something like that. He's like, yeah, that's pretty nice. Let's do it. So I just got him signed up last Thursday.
Welcome, Alejandro Mendoza. Ali is a real estate guy who I know him in the real estate world, and we met while he was doing wholesale deals, and we got some fitness in connection. He worked in my office building for a long time, and we had a lot of connectivity, but I've seen a remarkable change in his business in the last couple of years, and we're going to talk about it today. Welcome, Alejandro.
Yeah, appreciate it, Logan. Excited to be here, man. Yeah.
So, Ali, tell me what your business. Is it okay if I call you Ali?
Yeah.
Do people call you Ali?
Yeah. Everyone calls me Ali.
Okay, good.
Ali or Alex.
Less syllables.
Yeah.
Tell me what your business looks like right now. Give me some fun stats about it.
So we switched almost 100% into full curative title, distressed property acquisitions, I would say in April of this year. So it's only been like 6 months now. We switched out of wholesaling for the most part. We probably do 5% wholesale still every once in a while just to try to collect all the chips that we can get. Mm-hmm. But fun stats, since switching over to DPA, we've exceeded our goal. We've exceeded a milestone, at least me personally in my own business. In August, we closed $220,000 in volume. This is a net profit after all expenses, taxes, all that good stuff.
That's not gross sales, that's net profit.
Yeah, that's net profit. So never went over 200K in wholesale. I think my biggest month was like 150, 160. But it was super hard to keep that consistent. So now we have really nice months coming ahead of us. So we'll be looking to break that record here in a little bit. But as of right now, stats, this month, I think what's today? It's the 14th, so middle of the month, we're 6 new deals added to the pipeline. I think we're looking to close another, I'm being conservative. I know the market has changed a little bit. I really think we're going to clear 900,000 in the next quarter. So October, November, December. So next month is looking pretty fat for us. I think we can clear 400 plus. And so super excited. We just want to keep building off of that and start the next year banging. First month, January, we want to go hard.
From wholesaling to distressed property. I'm hearing this story more these days. I love it.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
We'll get to what like your business looks like in terms of operation today, but from where I remember us meeting, you're working at a big box wholesaler who I would say is one of like the largest and like the biggest big box wholesaler in the United States, probably.
Yeah, I don't think they get bigger than that.
Right. Some people have different opinions. I'm impressed. New Western has built a special business, stable, quality people. Like
they're crushing still to this day. I think I know I still follow them on LinkedIn, and they posted that they are the largest buyer. I guess they've done the most transactions in the country over any other company. So I think Open Door and all those guys, they were like leading for the last few years, and I think New Western has taken that first place now. So super impressive. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah, no doubt. So you cut your teeth in a place where I would argue that you probably kind of got the best training that the business has to offer.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Honestly, if it wasn't for New Western and my experience there, I don't think I would be here right now. It was huge, and we could talk about that as well. I guess my experience there and my
Well, tell me what that looks like. So I like to talk, maybe what does your life look like, when you get done with school and start getting into the workforce? Let's start there.
Yeah, for sure. So interesting. So I actually graduated from UTSA with a finance degree in spring 2020. So you already know.
You're only 4 or 5 years in the workforce, man.
Yeah. So that time.
I forget how young you are.
Yeah. So nobody was hiring at the time. It was COVID. Everything was locked down. We switched to virtual in the middle of the semester. So I didn't have a graduation ceremony. It was like all virtual, and it was just like a pre-recorded graduation ceremony where they had like I think it was like a Google Drive or something like that. You click on your name and it just says Alejandro Mendoza, and that's it. that's like your presentation and your, I guess, the little walk off ceremony. So interesting times. But anyways, I guess I was super anxious that year, graduating in the middle of lockdown. I guess I have a lot of pressure from, I guess I created for myself. But I've always wanted to make my dad proud. And one thing that he's done that's been pretty impressive is creating a finance company. So that was kind of what got me into
really. So your dad finance. Is he entrepreneurial then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, but he started that probably 2006. Before that, he was a supervisor for this chain of loan companies, like, you know, personal loans, finance companies, stuff like that. And so
when you were a kid, did he talk to you about entrepreneurial
No,
work?
he didn't. Yeah, he didn't. But I kind of saw it. And I would say probably after high school, he started opening up more about that, what it was like, the struggle and, you know, raising us and all that. And so I definitely respected that. At first, I wanted to just, you know, do the right thing, you know, impress my family, Hispanic family, right? Everyone said like, oh, you got to be the doctor, the lawyer, or, you know, go to school and get a good job, get a salary. And so at first I thought I was going to be like a physical therapist or something like that. And then I switched to finance like right away because I looked up to my dad. And so that got me into finance. And then from there in the middle of college, I always had a drive and I always wanted to do something big. And so I always Google search how to be a millionaire in 10 years.
How to be a millionaire.
Yeah, how to be a millionaire before 30. And everything that popped up, you know, number one was usually real estate. All the millionaires own real estate. And so I knew, okay, maybe I'll be an investor. Maybe I'll be a landlord or something like that. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos like Grant Cardone, Graham Stephan, all that good stuff. And so I kind of knew by like the first year or second year of college that I wanted to get into real estate. But I guess, graduating 2020, I didn't have any internships under my belt. My resume was kind of whack. And so I couldn't find a job.
You got no experience.
And all the jobs.
It kills me. You get out of college and everybody wants 1 to 3 years experience for these jobs. And I'm like, dude, y'all know this is entry level. Y'all know we're getting out of college. What the heck?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'll follow up on that later on. It gets better. But I guess anyways, I think it was like the last day of school, which was virtual. I was taking that semester. I was actually taking a real estate I think it was like just a real estate intro course, which actually was a course that I could use for credit to get my real estate license. But the professor was awesome. He always brought on like really impressive guests, like alumni and stuff like that. And so on the very last day, this was actually extra credit, so you didn't have to show up to the Zoom. But man, I felt defeated because I had no job. I was about to graduate, nothing to show for other than a diploma. And so you know, he brought on a guest speaker, and the guest speaker, you know, he shared his story, you know, his experience. Is he the broker over at New Western? Yeah. So I was going to get to that. So I've heard Carlos Garcia. So you know him. I think he's been on here. Yeah. I know you guys have interacted several times, but so he hired me.
So he was doing recruiting from school.
Yeah, basically. So he showed up. He was like, you know, like talking about his success. He also mentioned one thing that I was like, all right, this is my opener to like shoot him an email. So he's actually a brother from the fraternity that I was a part of. And so from there, I'm like, hey, man, like we're brothers, you know, love your story. Would like to connect with you and see if you have any opportunities. And so he told me to get my real estate license. I'm like, all right, whatever. And so I knocked it out in like 2 months. So by the end of July of 2020, I had my real estate license. I think I started either end of August or beginning of September. I need to check back. I think it was end of August. And by then things were starting to get better. The market was starting to look good. So the first thing, I guess my first day on the job, I still didn't really know what the job was about, but he did tell me it was
the first day on the job. You decided to go here. You're committed. You show up and you're still like, well, I'm not totally sure I'm getting into.
Yeah, exactly. But you know that was the only thing that I could find at the time. So I was like, you know, let me just see and see it through. But right off the bat, I was hooked. You know, like I saw all the sales culture. He did tell me it was a full commission job. My dad wasn't proud. He's really very conservative. He's like, you know, he always try to steer me away from getting a commission job. He always said, you know, don't do a sales job. That's very risky and stuff like that. And so,
but he's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's funny, mixed feelings. But now I've won him over in that sense. But anyways, had that conflicting thought in the back of my head. But so first day on the job, it was a Friday. So they're talking about accomplishments, wins, volume. I'm seeing that some people are making up to 50 grand in a month. And that had me like pumped up.
Was there any time in that process that you knew that was possible until that phase?
No, not really. And I guess like on their recruiting website, I think it says you can make up to 100K in a year. And so that's all I needed to see. Like, all right, cool.
You found someone made half that in a month. You're like, what?
Yeah, so that had me hooked. But the culture was pretty cool. On Fridays, they do this like spin the wheel thing, Warrior of the Week and stuff like that. And people were getting free TVs. Like the top performers were getting like Gucci shoes and like all this nice designer stuff. And, it was pretty enticing. So I was like, man, this is a pretty cool culture. And, they had like happy hours and everybody just had a good social life. It seemed like everyone, got along pretty well. So, that was my first day on the job, just seeing like all these like big wins, top producers and stuff like that. And right away I knew I wanted to be a top producer. So yeah, so I guess like my first 90 days, they were pretty rough though. I'll say that. I'm not I guess when I started at the time, I was not very confident. I stuttered a lot. I had the craziest like social anxiety. Like even right now, I'm still a little nervous, but then it was like worse. Like I've never seen someone worse than me. Like I've even talked to other people that I worked with at the time, and they tell me, dude, you were the worst. I didn't think you were going to make it.
You've come so far.
And so, yeah. And so it's funny. So I guess like the goal there when you're coming on to New Western at the time was you got to make 3 sales within your first 90 days. And so I guess
that means you're working on dispo if you said 3 sales.
So that's what I started off at was dispo. That's really all I worked my time at New Western. So I didn't know anything about acquisitions, but I did learn a good amount. Like I learned how to run numbers. I worked a lot with investors. So I saw what they liked, what they didn't like. And so that really helped me out like, years later where I can tell what a good as is value is. I can kind of tell what I'm going to sell this property for already off the bat after all that. But anyways, first 90 days, you got to close 3 sales in your first month or in your first 90 days. Sorry. And so month 1, I think it was on my 3rd week, I sold my first one.
You're ahead. 1 a month, you're a week ahead.
So I felt good. I was like, all right, cool. I got this. Like I could do this again.
And at this time, are you living with your family?
No, I'm actually living by myself. Actually, I had a roommate at the time for like my first couple of years. I had a roommate. So I was paying maybe $800 a month rent and
so
like
you still
utilities
need
and
2 or
stuff
3
like that.
grand a month to like live.
Yeah. But my dad was helping me out a little bit. I at least get the essentials
Not
paid off,
negative,
right? Yeah, I wouldn't get anything like out of pocket. Like I wasn't going out, and he'd give me like $100 budget a week to get groceries and like little things like that. Yeah. But at the time, I guess so sold the house in the first 30 days, right? In my 3rd week. After that, day 80, only 1 sale still. So you could tell how nervous I am, dude. I'm thinking like, man, I'm about to get fired. I'm about to get clipped. I was getting in my head, man. I had like the craziest anxiety there. So I guess by then it's like October or so. I'm starting to look for jobs.
Oh.
Yeah. So by then they're already starting to pick up some jobs. They're starting to post like new openings for some. I thought I was going to get into like real estate investment analyst or something like that with a finance background.
Yes, I know. These real estate stories are crazy. And yes, I do have a coaching program where a lot of these folks have built a business or revived their own. Look, do these testimonials sound like something that you want to be your story? Look, it is possible. If you're ready or you think you're ready, why don't you listen to the video and at least find out if it's for you? It's linked down in the comments in this episode, so go check it out.
So funny story, I think it was like day 85. I actually had an interview. It was a panel interview for this like big commercial, I think it was like a construction company, I forget. But I had an interview. It was on the Zoom call. It was a panel interview. I think there was 4 interviewers. And I thought it was going so well. I prepped for the interview like all week and I was pumped. I was like, man, I'm going to get this job. And so the very last question, we're on the call for like an hour or so. And the very last question one of the interviewers asked me is, you understand, Alejandro, we are a professional company, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm professional. I'm like all like confused, like, why is she asking me this? And she's like, you realize you're wearing a T-shirt on this interview. I'm like, dang, like right there, my stomach just dropped. I'm like, dude, I just like screwed this up. I messed this up. And I was wearing a baseball T-shirt at the time. It was just like I think it was like a red and gray T-shirt. Like those baseball T-shirts that kind of cut off right here. Yeah, so at the time, like I figured out there's no dress code at New Western, and so I didn't even think to like change my wardrobe. And so I left from office at New Western to my apartment, and I just like set up the camera, and I didn't think to change. So after that, like I was so down on myself. I was down on my luck, but it gets better. So I guess after that, man, I was still looking for another job, and just right after that, or right around that same time that I had that interview, people could tell that I was a hard worker in the office. So I really give it out to the sales culture there. Basically, they all saw that I was, banging out calls. I was really, putting my head down and locking in. But, I guess after that, some of the guys, they would have heart-to-heart conversations with me because they would see that I was like kind of discouraged by the end of the day. And, they'd just be like, I could see you're working hard, dude. It's going to come. It's going to come. Just have faith. And so,
that's great culture, man.
That really helped me make it through. And so day 89 comes, I pop 2 sales.
Oh my gosh.
I get my third sale on the same day. So dude, I was on a high.
Slid into the 19, like.
So right at the very end. So that's basically my start in real estate. After that, I knew I was going to make it. Everyone was like patting me on the back. I just felt like a champ. So by then, after that, like, the next months, I started to close like, 3-4 sales a month, up to the point where I became a top producer there. So
what's a top producer like in that time? Markets change, organizations change, but in that time, what would a top producer earn in a month in commissions?
Yeah, top producer, at least in this bowl, the commission was lower. Top producer in acquisitions, which was like the next level. These guys are making $50K plus. There was one guy out of Dallas. He was making $1 million in the year, and so that guy was just he was like the outlier. But man, it's possible, right? So, anyways, for dispositions, top producer, you're making $20K plus a month, and so
what did your dad think? He thought you shouldn't be taking a commission job, and here you are bringing in $20,000 a month, and everybody else just got out of college is making. I'm way less than that.
Yeah, so he always told me be humble. So I never really told him how much I was making
until. You didn't?
Well, eventually he found out, but there was, I would say probably like a year and a half in, I told him that I had a 30K month, and he was like, 30K, that's a lot of money.
What?
He just
did he ever say like, good job, you did it, I didn't think you could, but you're a bad at like.
He kind of said it, not like out front, but I could tell he was impressed. And after that, like, he saw me differently, like after that, my whole family respected me a lot more.
Really?
Not that they never respected me, but
things change when they know like you're doing what you're set out to do.
So I was the first one in my family to graduate with a degree. The first one to make 6 figures.
Wow.
Having that success, everyone really was proud of me, and so that's something that I'm super proud of. Honestly, that experience there at New Western has really allowed me to go on to the next thing. And
so here's
not
the next
have any
question. I know that if anybody's paying attention, what they're wanting to know is, well, if this dude's making $20,000 in a month, he's doing good. You clearly left.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Yeah,
I guess. Was that you or was that them? Like, what happened?
It was really me. I think I felt like
because you exceeded all the goals you'd set already. Like, you're killing it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was a little bit ego. Like, I wanted to be an owner and feel like I earned something or build something myself, right? And so that was part of it. Let me think. I guess the next part was, I don't know. I think that was the biggest thing, is just like I wanted to feel like proud of owning something and having my name on it. And so I guess like there is levels to it. There could have been another level where I transitioned into acquisitions and stuff like that. I could have become a manager or something, but I don't think there was any openings for being a general manager. I think they had like everybody already in place. Everyone was doing pretty good where they were at. So the next level was, it was questionable. So I guess that's why I started my own wholesale shop right after that. So
you wanted more.
Yeah, exactly. And so I guess funny story, I guess how I transitioned out of New Western was 2023. You actually hosted a event on April. It was a advanced curative title.
Yeah,
here in San Antonio.
San Antonio, my second one in San Antonio. Last one.
So that was my first one that I attended, and after that, dude, I was hooked. I was just like, so one thing about New Western is they drop deals if they have title issues. They don't really go out of their way to clear it unless it's a simple like affidavit of heirship. But if you got to find heirs, you're losing deals. So there's actually a month in New Western where I sold 20 deals. I was about to make like $60K that month.
Whoa.
And it was 24 deals. And it ended up dropping down to 12 deals that I closed. Still made a good profit that month, but that was like my highest month ever.
Why did it drop like that?
And they were just dropping because affidavit of heirship situations. There's an heir that doesn't want to sell. There's an heir that doesn't want to sign. Or
you being in San Antonio, you're in a market where we have lots of old ownership and lots of ownership and title problems. So that was killing you.
And that's exactly why deals were dying. And so when I went to that event,
wait.
I'm like, dude, I should have wrote down all these deals that dropped because like now I could probably work something out. And so that really had a light bulb moment where I'm like, dude, this is it. Like I wanna just like do some of this curative stuff. And so I was already introduced into it, back in 2023 after that event. But transitioning out, I still had a good book of business from New Western. So I had wholesalers, agents that were always reaching out to me. So I got a bunch of referral deals like the first month. And I just kind of went back to the roots. I started doing the same little 5, 10K deals here and there and, starting to grind for leads. Another thing, I guess, that I could talk about now is there's a non-compete, right? So I was kind of like going under the radar. I didn't want to be out there posting about myself and what I'm doing, and so it was kind of a grind. So I try to do something different. I try to reinvent the wheel, and so I started learning how to do direct to seller marketing, and that was a grind. So it's
expensive and tough.
It's expensive and it's tough and. The thing I guess that where I screwed up was I was overly optimistic coming out of New Western, where I was like, dude, I'm a dog. I'm gonna figure this out.
You took for granted what they'd put in place.
100%. Yeah, honestly, that definitely humbled me. But basically, I guess my lesson there was, I guess looking back now, I hired too quick. I didn't really create any systems or any KPIs. I tried to reinvent the wheel. And I was just like trying all these different things at once and never really focusing on one marketing channel. So I had a SMS. SMS was getting really regulated by then. So that got tough. We started doing cold callers. We hired some like Egyptian cold callers. They weren't bad, but man, it was a hit or miss. You had to get like 10 plus new leads added to the system to actually get one conversion. And it was just like it was exhausting to try to train them and correct them and try to get them to say the right things. But I guess slowly I started, we still started making some money. And then from there, I opened up to direct mail marketing. I think from there I figured something out. So I was just doing tax delinquency properties stacked with absentee owner, sending direct mail. And, I think with our first campaign, I think we put maybe $3,000 into the mail campaign. I think we made like 150 off of that campaign over the span of like 2-3 months. But man, that was pretty dope.
That's a good one. If you could get results like that, you say keep doing mail marketing.
Yeah, so I still do that here and there, but I'm slowly starting to phase out of it because it's kind of a distraction to do wholesale and switch, the script from wholesale to curative. So, still doing the direct mail because that's worked for us. But I guess it got tough. End of 2024, I still wasn't paying myself, so I was just racking up credit card debt. So that had me super stressed out, and so from there I knew I had to like change something. And so at this point, I got a girlfriend, and I started meeting her family, got close to them. They have a really nice family culture, I guess you could say. Or
how did that affect your work life?
At first, I think it did affect it because I wanted to hang out with her. I guess we hung out more on the weekends, but during the week, I guess like the first couple months, you're thinking about it, like, oh, like should I text her or whatever?
Yeah.
Because we moved on pretty quick. We dated for like a couple weeks, and right away I asked her if she wanted to be my girlfriend. So I didn't really waste any time. But after that, I started balancing it out. She's also in sales, so she understands like the grind and all that stuff. And I told her up front, like, hey, I'm gonna be grinding this year, and so.
She's like that.
So she understood. But her brother, I got to know him over the months, and so he's older than I am, and he's got 15 years of sales experience. So at the time that I was like, defeated, just kind of exhausted from wholesaling, he was also looking to make a career change. So we got together. We were kind of just meeting up over the weekends, and one day we go to a Starbucks, we kind of just start business planning. I share what I'm doing with him. He was super impressed with it, and I think he's been following you on Facebook as well for a while. So cool. He was already kind of.
So you're looking up to him, but he's also like, man, I'm impressed with this guy's doing.
Exactly. No, for sure. He's done something really well, like from his corporate sales job, and he was a top performer as well. But he was new to real estate, so that was like one thing where I'm like, okay, well, I actually created a YouTube playlist of like wholesale videos to watch and like sales videos and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Something that I had shared with my sales guys as well. So I sent it to him, had him study that. I also, basically he was learning about wholesale. He had already flipped the house before, so he had some sort of experience with it already. But I guess after that, I was just like, screw it, let's just try something new. So we became a partnership, and we got an office in the beginning of March of this year, 2025. And so that first month, we were just doing direct mail and cold calls. We were calling MLS deals. We only closed like 2 or 3 deals.
And why did you pick that model? Because that's what worked for you back at the old shop?
Yeah, exactly. That worked. And so, I was just like, what, this is going to work. And then I think the next level, I had already heard from other guys that were succeeding in wholesale. They were all doing PPC, but they were spending $20K plus a month. And so I knew that I thought that was going to be the next level that we get to. And so that's kind of what we're budgeting for, is like, all right, let's save up some money. Let's start a PPC campaign, but we got to go hard, 10K plus a month. And so, this is March, right? So we do wholesaling for another month or so. And then you have your event in April in Austin that we were all looking forward to. So we go there to the event. He's already introduced to you. He's seen like your big wins that you share on Facebook. And so, anyways, lunchtime comes around. Lucian's doing I guess he's talking about the testimonials and all that stuff.
Yeah, he did like a small separate coaching pitch. We're not going to pitch y'all, but if you want to hear about this, come over here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I actually went to the restroom, so I didn't even know that was going on. And that's around lunchtime. So I actually popped out a little early before that was announced. So I went to the restroom, had a phone call or something like that. I stopped, I got my lunch. I just sat back down. And he's in the next room where Lucian's talking about the coaching program. And, a few minutes go by. He comes out of that like pumped. He's like, dude, whoa. I think this is it, man. I think we should do it, bro. Like, after hearing that, bro, like, I just want to do this. It's $30K a month, but like, dude, it just sounds dope. And I didn't question it, honestly.
No, not $30K a month. It was $30K total.
Or $30K total. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
But you're looking at like, let me ask you this, because you're considering a major change, and he's sold apparently. Mm-hmm. What are the things, because your business was working, what are the things that you looked at this new way of doing business and saying, I think that looks a lot better than this one? What stood out?
The big thing is, I guess I had some changes in my team. And so I didn't have a disposition team anymore. I just had acquisition guys. And so I think the easiest, the least path of resistance was to just focus on acquisitions. And so that's kind of what I knew. I was going to be like hard at acquisitions. But then I've seen your success. I've been around this office for a little bit. I've known your guys for at least a couple of years, and I see what works for them. You guys don't have a dispo team anymore. Yeah. And so I'm like, dude, I could make 6 figures with the handful of guys that I have. I could do it myself, but I mean, of course I want to build a team, right? I look up to you guys. So, I want to create a team, something similar to what you guys got over here at ARP. And so I just knew that we could make it work. I had total faith. I had total conviction in it. Also, Chris Berry's, seeing his growth has been like super inspiring. And so at the time I really trusted what he had to say, because I also had met him through one of your other events like a few years before that. And so seeing him pivot into Curative title, that really sold me as well.
Now that I think about this, I remember what his numbers were like that first year or so, and you told me about what yours, and you're probably tracking to do pretty similar numbers to him his first year.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I saw how well it went for him like the first couple months through the coaching program, and that's all I needed to hear, man. And of course, at that point, I trust you, and I knew that it was going to pay off. And so that was the most money I've ever invested into coaching. And so, but I knew you're going to deliver. And so, sure enough, you did. Like right away I think we started the coaching program, May or April? When was this?
That semester started, was it around? Wait, we did the event in February.
Or maybe it was February. Oh, that's right.
March, in the beginning of March we started.
Oh, okay, that's right. So I guess we had just moved in, but I know that you guys were taking up applications to the end of that month. And so I guess, we started in April then. So we were doing wholesale for a month until we started that coaching program. I mean, the coaching program took a couple of weeks to really kickstart, like get everything going. It was a bunch of setup in the beginning. But at that point, I'm like already thinking, because I had already went to your advanced curative title event a few years ago. So, and I also did one curative deal already. So I'm like, dude, I think this is going to work out.
You had enough dots along the way. You said, I hear what he's saying and I believe it. I've met those guys and I think they're good dudes. And I've done a deal before where I had to do some of this stuff. Maybe you didn't get as big of you didn't ask for as big of a price reduction on that deal.
No, definitely not.
Most people say, I did one with 6 owners and did this and this and this. And I'm always like, good job. And they're like, I made 20 grand. I'm like, oh, you did all the work, but forgot to ask for the trade down.
So double those numbers on my first deal. It took us 12 months to get it done because we did it through the title company and they kind of told us what to do. And, we had to wait for them to get the documents, the AOH and all that stuff. But it was, I think it was 12 heirs and we made 40,000 off of it. So
it's a good number.
It was a good number, but 12 months, man, it was a grind for sure. There's times
I'm glad you did that though, because it allowed you to see the process and say, wait, I know how to do this. Let me see if I can do it better.
100%. But yeah, that first, I think when I got the first 4 heirs after that, I'm like, dude, I hit a roadblock. I kind of just want to kill this deal. but we have faith. We made it go. We made it through. And after that, dude, I had seen it through. So this next year made it super easy after that.
Dude, that's a fun start. So folks come in, sometimes they have no real estate experience. And typically we want people to have real estate experience. There are a few people that don't have any at all. And we're willing to, as long as they're high performer in some of their jobs, like we can tell they're very go. We'll let them do it. Otherwise, we stick to real estate people, but you had real estate experience, you'd been entrepreneurial. And then it sounds like your production now relative to still being in the real estate investing space, but going from wholesaling to this, it's jumped way up. So something that I think people miss a lot of times, and now that I'm thinking about your journey, a lot of times people will go house flip and do all that stuff, but it really doesn't sound like that for you guys. It sounds like y'all were wholesaling and then moved into this. And people might be missing, you guys are doing office work. This is like paperwork in an office, computers, phone calls. You're not out there meeting contractors, picking up paint colors at Home Depot and renovating it and meeting a realtor. Dude, you're doing paperwork in an office. It's an office job. It's like a professional setting.
Yeah, exactly. So it's optimized. So like for my guys, I tell them, you have no excuse to not make, 6 figures plus. Like, you don't even have to leave the office at this point. Every once in a while, we go out and get a breath of fresh air. But for the most part, we don't have to meet up with anybody. But I guess funny story, I will tell you, our first deal that we got, a partner actually picked it up. This one was low-hanging fruit, tax delinquent property. Owner passed away a few years ago. And it was just 4 heirs. He calls one of the daughters, first dial she picks up, and she's like, oh, that property, I thought it went to foreclosure years ago.
And she thought she lost it already.
Yeah, they thought it was gone. And so basically we picked that one up, and I think all in, we could have probably got them lower, but all in with, I think property taxes were maybe $20,000 because they had rollback taxes. And I think for all 4 heirs, we paid them each $5,500, so $22,000. We could have done a deposit up front, learning lesson. We gave it all up front. And so at that point, at least we didn't have to pay the property taxes because there was no foreclosure or anything. But we did pay $22,000 up front. And then after that, we're like, dude, I did the comparison. I'm like, we can make double our money if we flip it. So we did flip our first curative deal. And learning lesson, looking back, we probably would have just sold it as is. I guess we bought it unseen, but it was a safe investment because it was built in 2000. It was a brick wall or a brick house. And so it was a pretty nice house. And so basically we thought, okay, like we'll make like 120 off of this thing if we flip it. And if we sell it as is, well, maybe 60,000 or something like that. So we bought it unseen. The Google Street View was outdated. It was like 10 years ago. So when we actually look at it,
was it near your office, like near your town?
No, it's actuly in the Valley in Cameron County. So I'm from the Valley. We have most of our guys are from the Valley, and so we looked at this property out there in San Benito, small town, but honestly, thankfully, it was a nice like a brick house, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage, big backyard. So it was a super nice house, but it was really dirty. It was roof was all messed up. There's a couple possums inside the house, dog shit all over the place. The grass was overgrown. It had a bunch of code violations because the city was keeping going out there to cut the grass.
Oh yeah.
And so it was a mess. We saw it unseen, and I was just thinking, 2000's house. We'll put lipstick on a pig. $15K rehab budget. No man, we went
How much did it
well
cost?
over budget. We spent almost $55,000 to flip the house. Now I know what the numbers really are. So I guess
Looking back, do you think you still would have made 60 grand if you would have just closed on it, resold it to another investor? Do you think that would have held roughly?
I think after seeing the condition in person, we probably would have made like 40,000. We ended
How
up
long would have that taken? Like if you'd have bought it, put it on the market and sold it, 40 grand in how much time?
within a couple weeks, right? I'm pretty good at dispo, so we could have found the buyer within that same week.
So
Sold it
less
in a
than
couple
30
weeks,
days,
right? Yeah,
40
exactly.
grand. Now, when you went to flip it, how much did you make then?
Yeah, so we ended up netting 75,000, which was still good profit, and
And how long?
it was good to see it, but it took us maybe 3.5 months or so. About 3 months to flip it, and we went under contract on the market within 2 weeks.
So you priced it
And-
right. That's good.
Yeah, it was priced right, and the buyer was cash, closed within 10 days after contract, no option period. So it was perfect. The lady bought it for herself, but it was just a perfect buyer, perfect situation. And
So the bad news is you made twice as much, but it took 3 times as long.
yeah, exactly. And in the time that we were flipping it, I mean, when you buy it outside of title, without title policy, you're not going to get a hard money loan. No one's going to give you a loan unless
So
you
how'd
get
you pay
private
for it?
capital. So we paid it cash. So at this point, we have 22,000 out with the sellers and 55,000 out. I'm using some credit cards to supplement the material cost. And at that point, towards the end, we had to pay half the tax balance because Linebarger saw it. They sent us a letter and they said we had to pay the taxes. If not, they're gonna foreclose or something like that.
Yeah.
So towards the end of it, we got that notice and we paid like 12 grand to.
Oh, you got on a payment plan.
Yeah, so we paid 12 grand. We don't have to pay everything, but still now we have like 80,000 out. And so we're like, dude,
That adds up
we
over
could
time.
use that money right now because we had some other deals where like, we had a JV one with you guys because tax balance was like 40,000 and it was going to get foreclosed. So we're like, dude, we don't have that money for that. So, I mean,
You know what I hear out of this good news? So it's a bummer that it took longer. You didn't make 3 times as much. You just made a little less than double.
Mm-hmm.
But when a deal goes bad in most investors' world, they go from possibly making 40 grand to losing 7,000.
Yeah.
Or like something way worse than that. You had a deal that kind of didn't go the way you wanted, and you made 75,000.
Yeah, we
There's
went-
so much protection and safety in these kind of deals because your entry point is so low.
yeah.
So you can turn around and sell the market. You can flip it. You can rent whatever the heck you want is always safe. And even if you botch it a little bit, you're still safe because you get so much equity from day
Yeah,
one.
exactly. Yeah, because we went almost 40K over budget.
Dude, that would destroy a lot of house
Yeah,
flip
that's all your
margins.
profit right there.
And you got carrying costs. You got costly capital. A lot of those deals would go negative.
Yeah, 100%. And so, yeah, it was nice to see it through. But after that, yeah, everything that we're selling now is as is. Will we do a flip again? I don't know. I think it's kind of fun here and there, but not doing it often, right? If it's a big rehab, I'm not touching that. But it's a little lipstick job that takes me a week or two to make double the money. I'll do that all day. But
So you're getting smarter.
yeah,
As you're having
100%.
those experiences, think about a couple years ago, you're watching people flip. You would have probably taken on a much bigger one. Now you're saying, if it's truly only paint and very basic stuff, okay. Otherwise, I'll stick to my paperwork and my office job.
Yeah, 100%.
Pays better. This is a dot that a lot of people have a hard time connecting. Tell me what it was like the front end. You said your partner found it, but do you know and remember like who he talked to, what their problem was, how it was solved? Do you remember all that context?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just start from the top. Where we start our marketing still to this date is we just pull county records, tax delinquencies at the beginning of the year. So back in March when we started, we pulled we pulled maybe like 4 counties. We pulled out Bexar County, Travis County, Hayes, or everything that's around us. So like Guadalupe and what's the other one? Comal County up north. And then just skip tracing those records. After that, we use REI Sift. I know one of the questions that people might have is what do you use for your CRM? I use REI Sift. I basically upload all the records in there.
Why have you chosen REI Sift over others?
I guess I've just followed after your first event back in 2023 that I went to, McLean Bobbitt, you had him as a guest.
yeah.
He talked
Good
about REI Sift. And so I was like, oh, I could do this. And so I'm a big computer nerd and I'm pretty good at following instructions, building like Lego sets and stuff like that. I don't really build Lego sets, but I'm really good at the instructions. And so I was just like, all right, cool. Let me see. Let me check it out. And so they have all these like tutorials and setting up your CRM and stuff like that. And so I did all of that. I did all the homework. I did all the research how to set up my CRM. And so I learned how to get the most out of REI Sift, and it's been working for us because it's also not that expensive. I think next level is Salesforce. Maybe we'll get there, but that's, you got to put a bunch of money up front to get it up and running, and you got to be very involved. REI Sift is kind of already built out for an investor, and so that was pretty nice. But basically, a couple features that I like about it, which is almost the same thing as an Excel spreadsheet, is you can filter out records by tax delinquency amount, years delinquent, multiple owners, or not multiple owners, but multiple properties owned by that same person. So little things like that you can stack around. And so I guess what the list we were going through was tax delinquent, no payment in the last 2 years, and 10K plus in delinquency. And from there, I guess we had to like Google search the person's name, look up an obituary, and that's really all we're doing. And so we still kind of do that, but now our virtual assistants do that for us. They basically look up the owner, see if the owner's alive or not. And if it's not alive, then, they kind of go through some qualifying factors. But anyways, this one.
So you guys did that process in the beginning to feel good about it, and then you assigned it to a virtual assistant.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of, again, at this point, I was already kind of good at working tax delinquency records. I already had some wholesale deals that worked in the past through my direct mail marketing. And I kind of figured out like what was working. And typically it was very delinquent. It was a vacant house. It's probably over 30 years old. And the owner's deceased. I'm talking with the heir, and they don't know how to fix the issue. Usually the owner died without a will. And so that's been the common trend. And so still to this date, we're still getting the same type of leads, but different strategy, right? We're not just doing wholesale, getting them on the contract. Now we're doing the curative title, buying out interest and stuff like that. But that lead came through.
When people are not occupying the house and they've quit paying the taxes, there starts to be this disconnection. They've made a decision. Like if you stop paying taxes on something or stop insuring your car, whatever, you're basically saying, I'm done. That's their signal to the public unintentionally, but that's not a signal like I'm done.
Well, 100%. And the common theme is the reason why they're not making the payments is because the owner's deceased and the heirs either don't know how to fix it, they don't even know about the situation. In this case, they didn't know about the situation, or the other one, they just don't have the financial means to get it through, right? And so in this case, like I think it was just through one of our lists, low-hanging fruit. He calls it, he looks it up, finds the obituary, all the survivors, four children. I think he had like 3 daughters, a son. And so after that, he speaks with the first lady, and she answers, and she's like, oh, I thought it was foreclosed. And from there, he's like, dude, I got a good one. I got money. And I'm like, dude, this is in the bag. We already knew it was in the bag because the way the conversation went, and kind of sense it. And keep in mind, this is his first real estate deal. I mean, he's a salesman, but he's never done real estate. But it really helped from your coaching program, just hearing how you guys open up. It's exactly what we still do to this date. And basically, she was like, "Oh shoot, I don't know anything about it. I thought I was getting foreclosed on." We didn't want to say too much, and we also didn't want to be wrong. So we were a little concerned at first. We were like, "Oh shoot, well, what if it did get foreclosed and we're buying this outside of title?" That was our fear. We're like, "Dude, let's do one of those title reports. What's that company called? USA
Pro Title.
Yeah, Pro Title. Yeah." So we had them do a report for us. Everything checked out, and from there, we're just like, "Well, we could get this thing done tomorrow if you want to." And she's like, "Okay, well, let me talk about it." So this is a Friday. He gets in touch with her. The next day, Saturday, we're in the office. She answers, or she calls him back and she's like, "Yeah, we'll do it. But can you come up a little bit more?" Initially, we did anchor a little bit lower. She got us up to 5,500 per heir.
So your original offer was how much per owner?
Initially, I think he offered 2,00000 per heir.
And so they went from 2, 4, 6, 8, from $8,000 to $20,000.
Yeah, exactly. And so, anyways, he got that lead. I think she signed the contract that same day on Saturday. We sent the contract to all the siblings. They all signed it. I think we had a notary out there like Monday or something like that. So within a few days, we're owners 100%. And so, that was an easy one. It was a layup after that. But
sometimes you get owners who are like fearful, undereducated on these topics, or they're just strange people and they just, I don't know, they're weirdos. And they just don't want to deal, educating them, getting them to allow you to educate them is tough sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
The other times you call, but once you do, a lot of times they're ready to go. Or you get on the phone with someone, they're like, yeah, I'm done with this. Let's get it done. And you're like, after I came from 4 deals in a row that were just like brain damage, now it's like
a smooth sailing. Yeah, so it was good for him to see it for the first time as well, proof of concept.
And you to get a layup.
It was good for him, and everybody else was pumped. We're like, dude, this is our first one, and we were still doing wholesale in the background, still had some calls coming in from direct mail, but after that, I'm like, dude, all right, I need to get mine. And so, I ended up getting my second deal after that. Or I got the second deal for the company after that, and everyone like slowly started getting their own. So it was cool to see it.
Some people, when they get into this right off the bat, it's rare, but this happens. Sometimes people just immediately take it, get it, and just explode. Those people are unique. That doesn't usually happen like that. It didn't happen like that for me. A lot of times it can take 3, 4, 5 months for people to get in, start doing the work, start to understand it, start to get in a groove, proof of concept a little bit, and then roll. There are a lot of people that would complete our program, the coaching stuff, and say, okay, yeah, it was good. I learned. I might have gotten one deal, but like they don't feel like they just are ready to full-blown abandon everything else and take on the world. But I'm starting to see it so much more now. 4 or 5 months after their program ends, I talk to them. And I'm like, how's it going? And I'm thinking they like petered out and went back to what they were doing. And they're like, oh, dude, we're done. We made the transition. We're doing $300,000 this month. And I'm just like, what? And I'm finding it takes a little bit to like
100%.
Yeah. So I went back and looked at guys in our office that came to work with us. And specifically, one of the guys that's one of our higher producers now, it took him 6 months to get very productive. And he was working in our office side by side training with us. And I realized, okay, like now I can understand a little bit better the trajectory on that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, some people need a little bit more time. I think it really helped though, because I came from New Western, high sales culture. I wanted to be a top producer. And I still bring on that similar mindset over here where I'm trying to create a sales culture. I guess when we first started in the middle of the year, this year, I was kind of like shaking my head where I'm like, dude, these guys have the potential to make 6 figures this year if they wanted to, and they're just not getting it. So I guess I started looking at myself now where I'm like, dude, I just got to be a better leader. And what worked for me, I just got to share what worked for me in the past. And really it's, organization, discipline, all that good stuff. And so now I'm creating metrics that allow me to replicate myself and mold my guys into becoming a top producer. And so, now they're doing so much better. They got the KPIs. They know what it takes to be successful. I'm still leading by example. I'm still a producer in the company. And so I don't think that's going to change for a little bit. I also get a thrill out of finding deals myself.
The deal high.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm still doing it, but now everybody else is becoming a little bit more autonomous where they can, do most of the work themselves. And
it's a good place in your business. You have these milestones. You don't really know what they look like because it's so new to you, but you hit these milestones and things really like they're working. First off is like competency. You got up to the point where you say, I like this model. I can stick with it. This is going to happen. I'm in. That's a milestone. Then another one is folks starting to get their roles and you start to feel comfortable with it. And you're still in production, but you step back a little and say, all right, everybody's clicking. Like we got buy-in, okay, this is going. And then there's another time, it took me 5 years we started to then develop the team a little bit more to where I liked the size of it. And the next thing was I started to step back from production and stepped out of it. But that took me it was probably around the 5-year mark to where I wasn't in production day to day.
For sure.
But it took another couple years for me to like totally get out of production altogether.
Yeah.
Because I'd still step in and help, participate, and finally got to the point where everyone was like, they got this. They don't need me. But that was 7 years in.
Yeah, no, 100%. So it really helps us, I guess, that you've paved the path for a lot of operators as well, where we can kind of see what you're doing and what works, how you have your operation set up. And then, of course, that coaching program was huge. But I think that made it pretty easy for us to shrink the time, right? And so,
it took me 4 or 5 years to get there. You guys are under a year are there.
Yeah, for sure.
You didn't have to
Yeah, but it did
so
take
when you said my guys, tell me what your team looks like today.
Yeah, so right now it's me and my business partner, Richard.
So and 2 owner-operators.
Yeah, 2 owners. And we initially started with 2 acquisition reps. These guys that were already working with me in wholesale for a little bit. So they were in maybe 6 months or so. So it was a little hard for them to unlearn wholesale. That was one thing. But after that, we had another friend. He was also in real estate. He joined us like within the month. So we got 3, and then I just recently started a 4th. So we'll see how that goes. Everyone's already kind of starting to click. I got SOPs lined up, and so that helps. So right now we got 6 guys in-house. It's me, my partner, the 4 reps, and then we got 3 VAs. These guys do data research for us. They do now I'm teaching one of them to do all the transaction stuff for us because that takes
I was about to ask, who's doing the transaction part?
Yeah, right now it's me.
Okay.
I mean, my guys know how to follow up as well. Like if we have something at the title company,
But that's where you get paid. So you're probably over there saying, I'm going to make sure this works.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I want to make sure that they're following up with it. I'm trying not to follow up too much, but sometimes, maybe the title company gets too busy. I had to make the manager call and be like, hey, what's going on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now we're 6 people and then 3 people virtual, so 9 people.
Are your guys working pretty much a big part of that team are in the acquisition side?
Yeah, acquisition.
So what's this workflow look like? Lots of people on the acquisition side, and their job is to take the data and research been provided, make the calls, structure the deals, get them closed, and then at that point, do they kind of hand it off to you and your other partner, and y'all ready the site, get it listed, get it sold?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, so I guess we're still kind of a hybrid because I've learned a lot through wholesale, and I know like cash conversion cycle is important. So sometimes I don't want to wait for the listing. I've let them to this point do like double dipping if they want to.
Okay.
So a little incentive for them to sell it fast and make a little bit more. But now
would they look for a buyer then to do the dispo work?
But I'm learning now that it's inefficient in the sense of keeping the pipeline going, right? Let's just say you get a deal and it takes you a couple months to sell it. All your focus on acquisitions is gone and you don't have anything else coming up. So now we're starting to learn. I guess one thing is I want all my guys to get rich. I want them all to make a lot of money. And so I want them to, I guess they've trusted me. They've been through the trenches with me, transitioning from wholesale to this, and so I want them to get some money, feel the big wins, and I think probably next year we'll have a little bit more structure to where it's just all acquisitions, and so that's basically what we do. We haven't really listed anything. Maybe one deal that we JV'd with you guys. I think right now we're under contract already with a buyer. But aside from that, to this point, we've been selling everything off market. But
do you think you're leaving any money on the table doing that? Because if you go to the market, you have to make room for commissions and stuff. So that might be another 10% or a little less. But do you think you could get more than 10% if you went to market? Because 2 things. 1, you have to pay a little bit more commissions. But 2, you have to add time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I guess the margins, I think they could be better if we listed them. And so that, like, we've kind of compared them, like, hey, like, what would we make off market versus what would we make if we listed it? And most of the times it shakes out that we make more on the listing. It takes a little bit more time. And that's the thing is, I guess up to this point, we need cash, right? That's one of our biggest things is we need capital. And so right now we're just like, dude, let's convert everything as quick as possible. Let's bring that money ASAP. But now we're getting to that point where
you need a little stability, little retained earnings, so you can bridge that timeline of cash burn while you're sitting on market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
that's a maturity thing in the operation, I think.
Yeah, so we're learning from that. And again, at the end of the day, I want to replicate a sales culture that encourages volume and top performance. And so I probably create like a bonus structure that incentivizes them to have like, I guess one thing that New Western did was like have a deals per month rolling average over 90 days. That's what allowed you to climb into the bonus structure. And so that's maybe something that I'm thinking about. I haven't set in stone, but that might be an idea that I do next year, that maybe start the base a little bit lower, but maybe they can earn even more if they're bringing in more volume per month.
You've made multiple comments about the culture, and I'm aware and generally understand what that culture was like because that's something that always stood out to me about the way that team operated. But with you guys, with a small half a dozen person team,
small team, yeah.
What are all the things that you think go into making the good culture?
I guess I listen to a lot of Patrick David's podcasts. I think he has like this insurance company. I don't know if he's still a part of that forget what it's called, but he's got a huge sales team similar to New Western, but he's in the insurance space. And he always talks about building a great team culture, being a great leader, how to get the most out of your guys, all that stuff. So I listen to his videos on YouTube. They're a couple years old, but they're still very good to listen to. So get some good nuggets. And one of the things is you got to make it fun. That's one thing that we weren't having too much fun. So trying to create little things where we go out, have a lunch with the team, and just hang out. Also, another thing is most of these guys I've known them since we were kids, and so we're all best friends. And so being able to
your employee pipeline is your relationships.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone to this point has been relationships. We do want to switch it up a little bit though. I think it'll help to get a couple more people that we don't know. We just bring them on.
Why do you think that will help?
I think it'll help motivate the guys because, one, they don't have a relationship with them, and just getting somebody else, like a third party, let's just say this guy comes in and starts crushing it, man. They're gonna be like, dude, this new guy is tearing it up. Like, we gotta turn up too. So I think that'll help a lot. And so that's been an idea is probably beginning or end of this year is get 2 more people. After that, I think we have enough guys to make multi-million.
Dude. That team size is great.
Yeah.
That is an interesting point. So, like, when you have folks that you have a long-standing relationship with, it's a special skill to be able to manage them and still get a lot out of it. Or sometimes you have different opinions on stuff, and you've got to be able to be diplomatic enough to maintain the relationship, but still be able to get your point across and say, this is how it's got to be done. And for me, if I have no relationship with somebody, it's the easiest. I walk in and say my opinion. This is what I'm going to do, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just telling you my business ideology. Do it. But when you start to have when all these things start to grow over time, to me, that complicates it.
Yeah, for sure. I guess, one of our hurdles initially was being firm, right? Like if we have to change a policy or do something because we have our first, situation that pops up within the team, we gotta have a conversation with everybody now. We gotta make a rule. And at first, I could feel the tension, but I think everyone understands now, they trust me. They know that I'm going to, I can lead the guys, right? And so I think that helps a lot to have a good relationship with the team. So as far as culture, I guess, going back to that question, I try to create incentives for them, like little bonuses, like, hey, let's set this milestone or whatever, and, we could do this. So one of our goals this quarter is clear $1 million in profit, and we'll do like a team trip or something like that. And so I think everyone's looking forward to that. I think that'll be a big accomplishment.
I do too.
And that's one thing that New Western did a lot that really had me pumped up. Everybody was stoked to reach their goals, get those incentives, go on team trips. They would only take the top performers. So you don't want to not make it to the event. And so those are some of the things that I could look back. Maybe not yet. We're not there yet. But, another thing that they did was top performer gets a Rolex or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Shoot, you start having $1 million years, it starts getting real easy to rip a $15,000 check to give someone a watch.
Yeah,
you have a $2 million a year, you get 2 of them.
100%.
So stepping back, looking down into this, kind of thinking about some of the early things you told me about, you were nervous, had the social anxiety, didn't know what to do. That's an uncomfortable position. Today, you're talking about you're comfortable being a leader, you're improving your leadership skills. How radically different of a human was that compared to who you are then to today?
It's a huge change, honestly.
It's only 4 years.
Yeah, it's a huge change. And I guess I'm still, it's good to practice gratitude because I still find myself getting in my head where I find myself comparing myself. I feel like I'm behind. I lost a couple of years doing wholesale and,
Dude, you're 25 years old. I'm 44. You at 24, I hadn't even gone to rehab yet. I was still bad credit and negative life decisions.
Yeah, so I listened to those stories, Grant Cardone, hearing him being a drug addict and all this stuff. Those things kind of keep me grounded, but I'm also trying to reflect a lot more where I'm like, dude, you know what? Pat myself on the back. I've done some pretty good things.
You've done great.
And so that really allows me
4 years.
Yeah, that really allows me to move on to the next big challenge. I have a lot of confidence after my first couple years.
You should. And that doesn't mean you're cocky. That doesn't mean you're brash.
No, never that.
You've done special things. That's very hard. And it's even harder from where you were, like who your personality was. Those are massive. Like you should be absolutely proud of those things. And then also looking forward, think about when you get 4 years in business experience, maybe 5, whatever. Think about when you're 50 years old and have 25 years of business experience. Can you imagine where you're going to be at that point?
Next level.
Dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
You've come so far at the age that I hadn't even started my journey yet. So imagine you're going to be my age at 40 something years old. Holy cow, dude, you got 15 years experience. Like, wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. To that effect, the neat thing about this business is it takes a little bit extra work. There's a little bit of hurdles. You got to come up with some financing, and it's a little more complicated. So I think the average dude who's like isn't bright, is at a disadvantage, which I think those hurdles are here, which I think is nice because everybody's getting into wholesaling. And dude, I knew guys that were McDonald's managers that bounced into wholesaling. It really wasn't hard for a while there. But with these hurdles, I think, it makes it that much tougher for just the average dude to get in. You really got to want it. So those are nice to minimize the amount of competition going forward. But also, this is such a new angle in business. Dude, we got 20 years before there's even remotely enough competition. And when you look across the states, we've got deals in Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, Texas. We're
not even scratching the surface.
Dude, I think we're like the biggest, most formidable person doing this as an operation.
100%.
Not even all 50 states of it have been hit yet.
One thing that I like to bring up to the guys, because sometimes they'll be like, oh man, like everyone's going to start getting into this and, it's going to get competitive. But one thing that I always think about is you made a post one time on Facebook that says, people aren't going to stop making bad decisions. People are always going to be dying. There's always going to be like irresponsible decisions. And so these opportunities are going to keep coming. They never stop.
So a few years in, I remember asking myself, I'd have the best year I've ever had, 3, 4, 5 years in a row. And I remember thinking, when's this going to run out? When am I going to have to pivot? When are other people going to catch on? When are we going to run out of these deals? And after looking at it, and actually I found, this is a fun story. Somebody gave me a big old calendar from like 90 years ago. So it was like the early 1900s. It had all these old companies' names on it. And it was from San Antonio. And I remember looking at a couple of them, and the names were like some of the names of downtown subdivisions like Ditmar Land Company, like stuff like that. And I recognized them because I spent so much time in the land records. And one of them even said like tax delinquency and tax loans and stuff.
So it's been around for ages.
Forever. And there's no one doing it like this. If we try and train people the best we can, we're not going to scratch the surface. I remember thinking, people have been doing this for 100 years, and they've never even come close to like scratching the surface. In that moment, 5 years in their career, I remember thinking, I can do this for 20 more years, retire, and still leave plenty for others. Oh, we found something we can do for a full career.
That's very true. I mean,
so you shouldn't have to pivot anymore.
Yeah, no. And the beauty now is, I guess like wholesale, how you scale, I guess it's still relevant in DPA is go to new markets. But I felt like we got to a point where wholesale in Bexar County was very competitive. We had people from California, from Florida, wholesalers in New York. Everybody was talking to the same leads that we were talking to.
Wait, that's true. But who's the best in this market of wholesaling?
The local person. I don't know if that's
New Western. I think they're the best.
100%. Yeah.
They're still making money. They're still rocking.
Exactly. So, and that's
there's
something
all that
I
competition.
look forward to.
I think if you stay good and strong in your skills, you'll still beat the competition.
100%. So that definitely gave me a lot of confidence even in wholesale. But I guess where I was getting to with that is now DPA, I don't really have to leave Bexar County. There's still thousands of records that I haven't even touched. I'm always finding new leads. I just picked up this month, I think 4 of the 6 deals that we got this month were in Bexar County. And so they're still out there. Yeah, and we have a bunch of leads in the pipeline that we eventually convert as well. They're in Bexar County. So we don't really got to look too far. But yeah, next level is, go to the neighboring county or whatever.
That's right. Yeah. So tell me about those 4 deals that you got rolling.
So I guess this one deal is a package deal. Is basically lady passed away. She did have a will, but she only owned 50% of the property. She got married to this guy. He has 50%, and I come to find that he was the independent executor. I think he opened up the probate case like back in 2006.
For her?
Yeah, for her. She died back in like 04 or something like that. And so there's actually an active, like that probate case. You can find all the records online. I had to reach out to attorney, Dan Burke. We also use Dan Burke. He got all the documents for us. And I started looking at the paperwork. I just want to see who are the heirs? Why haven't they done anything? And the will mentions like her grandson, her granddaughter, one of the daughters, she's passed away. And I'm like, dude, why haven't they done anything if they open probate? Usually they do something. The properties are super tax delinquent. One of them got foreclosed. She still got like 3 properties in her name. I find the grandson, this was back in like May when we first started the coaching program. I came across this lead. I see like, okay, I got like 3 heirs. Can't make any connection with them. It was like in the back burner. I kind of left it out there, but it kept popping up because it was like delinquent. It fit the boxes. It was qualified. And so I followed up with it, I think August or September. I think it was September. And I checked back in to look up one of the heirs because I couldn't find a phone number for him. A new phone number popped up a week ago. It tells me like last seen, like the date is like a week from like that day that I'm looking at this. And I'm like, oh, new number popped up, new address popped up. Ring. I call him up. He answers. He's like, who's this? So it turns out the guy was homeless for like the last couple years. He just found out that he had inherited something. He didn't know what he inherited, but I think he said that one of his relatives was like sick. I think she had passed away, and she let him know that he inherited something. So like he should be aware of it. And he's like, man, it's crazy. Like no one ever told me about this. I had to bring it to his attention. Like I specified, hey man, you got these 2 properties under your name. Like their ex-delinquency, I think for the 2 properties combined, it's like a total of $80,000. It's a simple fact pattern. I think it's 3 heirs. None of them have done anything. Everybody's disconnected. Nobody's taking charge. That one guy that opened up the probate case, I'm speculating. I feel like he's probably upset because he didn't get the full property, that he just like, I'm going to let these properties
he was
just
thinking
die.
He was going to get it all and didn't realize there was like stuff to deal with, problems.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, because he actually she had 2 properties that got foreclosed. One back in like 2016 and then another one just like a couple years ago. I saw it on the market recently and the investor flipped it and everything. But these other 2 are still out there. And so I followed up with the guy. I just let him know, like, hey, dude, this is what you got. And I made him an offer. I think I offered him like $1,200 or something like that. He's like, man, that's pretty nice. Let's do it. So I just got him signed up last Thursday. And now we got like 2 more heirs that we got to work with. I found them. One of them's she responded, who's this? I know I got him. And so at that point, after that, like no problem. We're gonna get the rest of them. So that's one of the deals that we got, or one of the 2 deals that we got. Another one that.
Wait, let's go back to the numbers on that one. What do you think the property that you're buying from is worth? How much is owed in debt? How much you got to give the sellers?
Yeah, roughly? So I've budgeted. So I got this little formula that allows me to calculate how much I could give each of the heirs. I think my calculation that I have to buy them all out 100% is like $9,000 and some change. There's about $80,000 in taxes. I want to make at least $50,000 combined on these properties, and so I could probably make about $50,000 if I get them all in for nine grand or so, under 10 grand. But I don't have to pay the taxes. There's no tax lawsuit, anything like that. I just pay all that at closing. Never comes out of my pocket.
So the total basis will be about 100 grand, but out of your pockets, maybe 10 or 15 to buy the interest, deal with a little bit of legal. Then you go sell. And if people don't know what you're talking about, you're leaving the tax debt or the mortgage debt or any of those debts outstanding, buy the property subject to those debts, and then clean up the title issues and go sell it at market. And then when it's time to close the sale, the title company will pay all those debts out of the money from the closing, and you just get what's left over.
Yeah.
Which means your investment is like, your investment's 10, 15 grand. Mm-hmm. And you end up making 50, dude, that's like a 3, 4, 5X on your money.
Yeah. And it's in San Antonio. They're in San Antonio. So again, I'm pretty good. I got a good amount of buyers in the west side and the south side. I think one's in the west side, one's in the south side. I'll sell those like quick tonight, if I wanted to. I usually wait until I get 100%, and then I put it out there. But
yeah.
I know that I could sell that no problem. So, I think once we get 100%, we can have that closed and monetized within 2-3 weeks.
Dude, everybody's borrowing 200 grand to flip a house that sells for 375, and they pocket 40 grand when they're done. Mm-hmm. In this case, you invest 10 or 15 grand to make 50. Your risk is so low. When you're going to flip and you have to put down some cash, get a hard money loan, your risk is hundreds of thousands. What happens if something goes wrong with that hard money loan? Like you're dude in a bind.
I do have a story on
But 15 grand, if something goes wrong, I mean, it might be painful, but you can sit on that for a couple years and it won't eat your lunch like a hard money loan
exactly
will eat your lunch.
100%.
So you got a story, tell me it.
I did have one of I guess like my biggest L's was in wholesale. We used to use sometimes we would do like a double close, or sometimes not even just a double close. We would close on it for like a week, try to have it sold within a couple weeks. So we would have a hard money loan for like 2 weeks. We still had to pay origination, interest, all that stuff. We will calculate it. So there was a deal that I thought we were gonna make 15 grand after hard money and all that stuff. It was gonna be a wholesale. We had a buyer already lined up, but basically we closed on this one. And I think this was like right when I first left New Western. Closed on this one. We're like, oh, dude, easy money, 15K. We had a good hard money loan. We had a good relationship with the guy, and no money out. And so it was cool.
So you were going to pay him when you sold the deal.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, I guess like he just, I guess the numbers made enough sense to where he would just fund 100% of the purchase. And so...
Oh, so no cash out of your pocket, and you pay him when you're sold.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. So it wasn't bad, but I guess like the issue is, learning lesson here is I bought this one through title. The person that we bought it from was a real estate agent, so I trusted him. I was like, all right, this guy's a professional. He owned it. He was selling it to us, but a few years before he was selling it, he bought it through a quick claim deed outside of title. And so... I didn't question it. We ran it through the title. I trusted the title company.
They were going to do their
due diligence. Yeah. So we got the title insurance. I guess there was an issue that I should have paid attention to, a red flag. So the first thing that we did when we opened title, after a week, we got the title commitment. They mentioned that there's an issue because of the quick claim deed. There's actually 2 heirs that he didn't sign. So he wasn't full owner. I didn't really pay attention to it. I didn't know any better to like look at those issues. I was just like, all right, the title company's going to fix it, whatever. The guy calls me. He's like, man, like this title company is like, they're messing around. Like, let's switch escrow officers. It's weird. So that escrow officer, same title company that the second escrow officer was at. For some reason, we switched over to another escrow officer in the same office. But this guy was like putting pressure on them. And of course, I wanted to get paid. So I'm like, yeah, let's just close ASAP. So we're putting pressure on the lady. We're like, hey, let's rush this closing. We closed like 2-3 days after we switched. They didn't mention it. They didn't mention those heirs, and I, not knowing any better, I'm like, whatever. Like I didn't even ask, like, how did you fix that issue? Like, did you get those heirs to sign?
Yeah.
That should have been what I asked. Like, hey, I saw this in the last title commitment. How did we clear this issue? So that's one of the lessons. But anyways, we close on it. After we close on it, we get our new buyer on the contract. We open up title with the same escrow officer because we're like, this is gonna make it easier. They have all the documents. Sure. They know what's up. We open title. We don't hear back like for a week. And I'm like, what's going on? I follow up with them. And the first email, she's like, pause transaction, open claim on it or something like that. I'm like, what's going on? I kind of figured out right away, like, okay, the heirs are making a claim. I think they got notified by the first escrow team that they had an interest. So they were like, okay.
And the second one closed without communicating with the first escrow team.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so we close on it. We use our title insurance to make a claim and try to resolve the issue. We're trying to get possession of it 100%. And so these other heirs had lawyers, and so they wanted to get the most out of it. Me not knowing any better, I didn't negotiate anything. I was just like, all right, use the escrow, or not the escrow, the attorney that they hired, the title company hired for us to clear title. And these guys work super slow. They basically, long story short, it took us 11 months to resolve the issue, just to pay them. The title company paid each of them $10K, and we were stuck. I did not know any better to negotiate for the taxes. We ate the expense of the taxes. They didn't
instead
pay
of netting it out of part of their share.
Yeah. So
and you're now paying interest on the hard money
and
or
the interest.
it.
So we did break even on the price, but the hard money is what really screwed us. We ended up losing $40,000 with interest and the origination fees, extensions, all that stuff. So that hurt. But we learned a valuable lesson. We paid tuition after that. So
Time is usually the biggest enemy. And when you're dealing with deals like this, if you can find a way to hack your timeline a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, at the end of the day, it's all condensed and your cycle time is so much better. Oh, that's a tough one. So have you used hard money? Well, you got title insurance when you bought it, so hard money was no problem.
Yep.
But if you're not using title insurance on a lot of deals, and then you're not using hard money, so that means you're paying out of pocket probably.
Yeah. So everything now to this point, we're doing out of pocket. We've done one JV so far, and we've had to use I had to use my dad one time where he lent me some money. I paid him back. I gave him some interest just to incentivize him for it. It wasn't a crazy amount. It was $10,000. He lent me some just to, make it through the 1 month. And so that thankful that I had my dad to help me.
Think about this. Your dad was disappointed about you going to get a commission job. And today your dad has so much confidence. He'll lend you 10 G's. Most parents won't loan their kids any money because they know it's going to become a gift.
So that has really helped us. Yeah, because we wanted to scale, right? We got a team. Everyone's bringing up leads. If it was just a one-man operation, I would have made it. I would have figured it out. But when we got our guys hey, dude, I got this deal. They need to get paid, and we don't want to lose it. We just want to capture everything, right? And so that point, I had to use that. So blessed to have that option, but I think after 10,000 asking for more, I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I can't do that. But
it's a tough one. As a business owner, as you grow and find yourself in new places you never expected, you don't know what you're up against. But I wouldn't feel bad if your dad, if you're giving him interest, probably more than a bank would be paying him if you did a CD.
Oh, 100%.
You have a lender who's trusting his borrower. I mean, the accountability level you're going to have to your dad is 10 times higher you're going to have to anybody. So I don't know. Don't feel bad. If you want to ask him for that again, you might want it to be fully independent and never have to ask. But business owners borrow money. You need capital to grow at times. So I don't know. Don't feel bad.
No, for sure.
I suspect your dad probably is proud that he can make a loan like that to his son. It worked. He make a little money. What a good deal. That's a win-win. Don't feel bad about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, the good thing is we also got, JV partners like your team, so it's better to work with you guys and just lose the deal and not get anything, right? So I will say that don't be afraid to partner up with other people. You learn something as well. I definitely learned working with Kyle and Gustavo. We worked that deal out with them, and it gave us a lot more confidence because we were a little hesitant, dropping 40 G's for one. At that time, we didn't have it. All of it was out. But also just seeing how they work their deals out as well. It was good to see it. So, definitely would do it again.
Well, good. In the early days, I remember being scared, dealing with this, knowing I got this much money in the bank account, I'm going to make an investment. And I didn't know how quick it was going to come back. And it was scary because while it might only be 40 and relative to total net worth or total pipeline, it's not massive, but that's enough that can really cause a problem. If it gets locked up, dude, it's 40 grand. It could really be tough. So making those decisions confidently takes time and experience. And as your own retained earnings and capital will grow, the better y'all get, the more you save, the easier it is to cover those. But yeah, borrowing from your dad or JVing from somebody, they're not bad answers. Business owners got to be so scrappy to make it work.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that Jeff Bezos borrowed all of his startup capital from friends and family. Now they're all billionaires because of it.
That's awesome.
But business owners got to do what he's got to do.
100%.
So, Alejandro, what do you tell the Alejandro 5 years ago that was getting out of college and just terrified, like a shaking chihuahua, didn't know where he was going? If you could go back and talk to yourself back then, what would you tell you?
I think one thing that I still tell myself to this day, because I still find myself, there's days where, maybe I'm not the most, what's the word? I'm a little down on my luck. Last month, it was a little slower. But I always just got to remember the fundamentals, right? And one thing that my dad always told me, I guess he started telling me this in college. I don't know what the context was. I can't remember, but he always just said never give up, never give up. And so I literally thought about that when I was starting off at New Western, never give up. Any time that I was down on my luck and I felt defeated, just never give up. And also a couple other things that have really helped me out to this point is have a bias for action. I actually had a talk with you a year ago, if you remember. We went on a walk and I was trying to figure out why my team wasn't producing the results. And one thing is just like call the leads. It always goes down to the fundamentals. If you're not taking action, you're not going to get a result. And so as long as you take those, make those calls, shoot your shot. The more shots you make as well, like you're going to be rewarded. You won't fail. And so I would say just never give up and have a bias for action, and just trust the process. I would say those have been like the most important quotes to remember.
If you would have had someone tell you that those 5 or so years ago, would it have made sense, or would you still been like, okay, man, whatever, I'll just go and see what happens? Because now it makes total sense. 100%. Hindsight's 2020. But back then, would it have made sense to you, or you don't know?
I mean, I guess it kind of did make sense. I think it worked out because at New Western, again, going back to those first 90 days, I had to listen to that to keep myself going. Again, I was already looking for a net out. And again, the guys, I forget how I heard it from another speaker on YouTube. He said that when he didn't believe in himself, I think it was Ed Milet, he's like, at the time when I was down and I didn't believe in myself, I had to use the belief in, like, from others in me to really carry on. And I think that was definitely what allowed me to make it to past the 90 days. Because again, that 80 to 90, I was ready to look for the next option. And so, yeah.
I'm glad that you didn't.
No, yeah, same here.
If I had to speculate, probably half the people listening are half that are in real estate doing deals, some of them doing this. But I bet half the people out there aren't at all. They're just looking at this, maybe at a job, saying, I want to try to do what he's doing, or I'm really interested. What do you think is important for you to tell those folks that haven't done it yet?
I mean, for one, if you started like me, you're young, you don't have any responsibilities, and you don't have that much, that many expenses, this is the best time to take that leap of faith. You're only going to get more responsibilities. When I started, I didn't have a car payment. I had a paid off car. I shared the rent with some other roommates. I had 3 roommates at the time, or 2 roommates, those 3 of us. So really we were paying like $600 plus like utilities. We were all in like $750 maybe each.
Wow.
So that's really it. And then of course I didn't eat out. I always meal prepped. So I kept my costs low. I guess that's one thing, is keep your costs low, make sacrifices. Sacrifice is a big one that I see a lot of people not make enough of. I guess the people that fail, it's usually they just weren't sacrificing enough, right? They have an excuse like, oh man, I got to show up for dinner with the family at 5 p.m. I got to leave early, and I got to, go, I don't know, wash my car. I'm going to get a haircut at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, like that. Those are things where I'm like, dude, sacrifice that. Like, push that to the weekend, push it when like it doesn't matter as much. But during prime call time from like 8 to 8 p.m., Monday to Friday, like those should be the times that you're locked in. And so I guess, just all the people that have not made it through, they were just not sacrificing enough. They weren't focusing enough. And I mean, that's really it. And of course, coming in with a dream, right? You can't just come in and not know what you want out of this, right? Because then you just don't have any. You're not looking forward to the job, right? Like for me, it was coming in. I knew I was going to be a top performer. I had people that were already excelling, like in my sphere. And so at that point, I'm like, dude, I just want to be like these guys. I have these guys to look up to. And so, you have a lot of people that you can look up to. I mean, you guys, that's right now. Your team is that for our team. It's like, dude, we just want to get to that level. And so I think seeing who is doing it the best and just comparing like what's the difference from me to Logan. I mean, I see you're ultra disciplined, you don't drink, you don't party, and that's keeping it simple, right? You eat the same thing every day, you have a good diet, you're active, you're healthy, sure you get good sleep, or at least you try to. I try to. And every day I show up at 100%, right? And so that's one thing, is just creating good habits that's going to allow you to, always be at your best. I haven't burnt out in a long time. I would say I do get tired. Like by the end of the week, I'm sleepy because I'm starting to like shorten my sleep as the week goes on. But, by Monday I'm reset. I'm at 110%. And so I guess those are some of the things, right? You just got to think optimize your energy, optimize your time, make sacrifices, right? Early on, I didn't see my family. I didn't really go out. I started losing friends from college because they stopped inviting me because I started saying no. I used to always be at the parties and, going out to the happy hours. But once I started working sales, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that until I feel like I've earned it. And that's something that I feel like a lot of people don't do enough of is
focus and the discipline. I got a goal. Let me get there. Other things I can deal with later. This is the most important thing in your life right now. Your future wife depends on it. Your future kids depend on it. Your future confidence and self-esteem depend on this. Those right there are the 4 most important things in the world.
100%. Yeah. And that's exactly what I have on top of mind right now is, my family still, look up to my dad. I want to make him proud. I want to make my girlfriend proud. I want to provide as well. And I also want to pave the path for my team, right? I want them all to be rich. And so if
those are all noble causes, man. Those are all above just you winning. Like, those are big things.
Yeah, 100%. And so, like, those are the things that allow me to wake up every day and just, attack the day, right? I want to lead. I want them to, again, come in motivated. And that's how you do it is, help them create goals. So I guess, for the viewers, create goals for yourself. Know what you want out of this. Put a number on it. You're hearing everybody making over $1 million months or years. I mean, even I think you guys have had $1 million months. So that the sky is the limit. And so pick that number for yourself. And I think that's some of the advice I'd give them is know what you're working towards, and every day optimize your day. If you're leaving out for lunch, that's a distraction. If you're taking 2 hours to go to lunch and getting coffee and checking your Instagram and social media and responding to like your friends and stuff like that, like all that is taken away from
the mission.
From the mission, right? And so those are the things, right? And that's really what I've been able to do. That's what I've had to do to make it to this point, really. And so sacrifices has been the biggest one. Yeah.
Get stuff out of your way. Focus. When you're headed towards that and nothing's in your way,
And I guess like one thing, I'm hyping myself up a little bit is discipline. I think all of that is an example of good discipline, right? And so even at my top at New Western, my best year when I was like the top performer in the city, I had the most fun. I made a lot of money. I was probably one of the top earners there, if not the top earner in San Antonio. And I had a lot of fun at the same time. Of course, I didn't have kids. I didn't have a girlfriend at the time, but I traveled more than I've ever had that year. I, got to go to like awesome festivals. I went to LA for the first time. I went to Vegas for the first time. Did all these like big trips, and I was still crushing it. Never failed. And how I did that was always just discipline and organization. I always planned out my months. I still plan out my year. Like I already have all the events that are going to distract me next year. So I know how I got to plan my months. I got to know that, January I got to lock in because in February I got this event or whatever. And so
that's long-term thinking. When you're younger, you're thinking about that day or that week. Today, you're thinking a year at least.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to optimize my time still to this day. And again, like even in the beginning, it was always just being highly disciplined, wake up at the same time, sleep at the same time, try not to be on social media because that'll keep you awake. I had to delete like Facebook, Instagram, all that during the week. I'll download it like Friday evenings if I'm like out and about.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's usually when I'm on. So like if people reach out to me on Facebook, I usually don't get back to them until like Saturday or Sunday. But yeah, it's worked for me. And, I don't need to be on Facebook. I'm not looking to grow my brand yet. I mean, little by little, I'll trickle it out there, but I'm not trying to distract myself from like what works already, right? Which is just pick up the phone and start dialing, right?
Right.
And so it doesn't really matter to me right now to be on social media, all that stuff. But I forgot. I lost where I was going with this.
Dude, those are great messages for folks. Stay focused, stay disciplined. This is like the war cry of like winners, of champions. This is the kind of stuff they say. So I'm not shocked that things are going the right way they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Allie, if folks want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do it?
Facebook and Instagram, but
Facebook, I won't get to you till Friday.
Yeah, but you gotta be patient with me. So there's that. But usually when someone reaches out to me on Messenger, I'll be like, "Oh, sorry, man. Like, here's my number," and now we can connect through text. So I like text. You'll probably find my phone number on there, like on my Facebook profile. So you can just shoot me a cold text, and then from there, I'll respond. So there's that. I'm on Instagram as well. So Alejandro Mendoza on Facebook. I have you as a friend, so I should pop up. We should have a mutual if you follow Logan. Same thing on Instagram. It's Alejandro Mendoza Za. So 2 Zas at the end. You can just reach out to me and I'm happy to chop it up. But we're also looking for JVs slowly but surely. We've already got a couple of JV deals where wholesalers have brought us some business as well. So here and there, I'll post some stories, some wins, what we're doing. And so that's been, it's paid off so far.
I love it. Alejandro Mendoza, thanks for your time today. I've enjoyed it.
I appreciate it, Logan.
My commitment to you is to deliver the most interesting, messy, and profitable real estate deals on earth. And in exchange for that, I only ask that you subscribe to this podcast and share it with a friend who can benefit.